Hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk to you about a brand new Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company test scent. Not sure if this is set to go wide or not. Currently it is in most, if not all, White Barn test stores. As you can see based on the label, it is testing within the current Lakeside collection. Right now, that collection started with 10 candles, 6 of which went wide in a sort of preview, and now reports are coming in saying that the remaining 4 will also go wide. So this could very well, jump on the bandwagon and have, all 11 of them go wide in stores within the next couple of weeks and in all Bath & Body Works stores, but I'm not really sure. It seems like in recent months, most test scents, if one collection, passes test phase, if it's one that they're testing, it seems like if the collection goes, all of the scents within that go. A recent example, of course, would be the Italian Piazza collection, where everything at this point has gone wide except Pizzeria and possibly Dolce. So, but the other ones that we thought may remain as tests are in all stores now, so anything is certainly possible. So we're here to talk about Summertime Soda, which again, the collection has been in test stores for probably about 2 months now, maybe even a little bit longer, and it was the original 10 cents, and then this kind of popped in the past week or two, kind of surprisingly out of nowhere. Sometimes, when everyone does their little detective work or investigations, sometimes we hear in advance that there are rumors of a few scents that may be coming. That's what the deal was with Villa Bergamotte and Dolce from that Italian collection. Whereas this, it just appeared in stores as a surprise to all of us. So, Summertime Soda, not sure what to think originally. So the video, the format I'm sort of following now is I talk about what I think it's going to be, talk a little bit about marketing or label or things like that. Then I'll read you the notes and I'll tell you what I feel when I sniff it. Now in this case, because it was a candle I was sort of excited about, I knew I was going to be doing probably an in-depth review on it since it was released by itself, and I wasn't confined to talking about it for just a minute within a larger collection video. In that case, I like to talk a lot, and I figured it would be a more in-depth review. I did pick up 2 of them, which you can see here. I've got one down here that I will show you the notes and sniff, and then the other one up here burning, just because with a candle as unique, or I guess you could just even say strange, as this, I really wanted to burn it first. Many times I do my reviews for you guys, and I'm just sniffing it sort of fresh before I even light it the first time. But this one I figured warranted a burn or 2 to see if it would be any different, because for me it's, without giving too much away before we get into it, it's kind of one of those mystery candles where every time I smell it, it smells a little bit different, and I pick up different notes, and it sort of, I have a different opinion, good and bad, on it. So it was really necessary to burn it to sort of get an overall, form an overall opinion on it. So let's start. I guess I can tell you right off the bat here. So Summertime Soda. This one has been burning. This is the second time I've lit it. It's been burning for close to 40 minutes, and it's doing okay. It's not an amazing, what I call, Sent My Way Karen, and I call a pink sangria burn, which is a super crazy, vicious wicks, a very deep wax pull, almost too intense and too crazy burn. This is doing okay. It's taking a while for the edge to pull out, but earlier today when I lit it for the first time, it did get there. So I think that this is one of those that maybe takes a good 45 minutes to an hour. Hopefully it will stay strong. To me, it seems like it's running the risk where it could end up being a little bit of a messy burn, but time will tell. No way to really know in advance, as we've all learned. So let's look now at the fresh one here that I've not lit yet. So Summertime Soda. The label here, just like a wooden box of sodas. There are mostly, it looks like there's a pink, there's a red, there's a yellow soda. So just, it actually reminds me of Jones sodas. They were popular probably 10 years ago or so, and they were sort of one of the first kind of throwback vintage sodas before the market was flooded with them, of unique flavored and unique colored sodas in the old-fashioned glass bottles. So so not much to say on the label. It looks nice. Summertime Soda, not any candle that I think any one of us would have expected or said, boy, I really wish there was a a summery soda candle, but they sometimes surprise us. Now, the notes on it are quench your thirst with a crisp, bubbly fragrance that features a blend of citrus and vanilla topped off by a hint of cherry. So they're really not giving us a lot other than saying that it's effervescent. Citrus, who knows what kind. Vanilla, not really saying what kind, whether creamy vanilla or, rich vanilla or sweet vanilla or what. And then topped off by a hint of cherry. So I wasn't sure if that was more like a maraschino cherry, or if it was literally like a cherry flavor, the way that you can flavor sodas to have cherry flavoring in them, red cherry sort of flavor. So let's see where we're at here. So that's what it looks like. When I heard of it and heard those notes, I was wondering, at this point they do so many repackages that I was running through my head, like, could this be one of the random test scents from last year, like a Starfruit Crush that was in the drinks collection that didn't go wide? I was trying to think in my head, what else do we have in failed test scents, or even successful scents, that have the notes of a citrus and vanilla. So I was trying to think, there were a few different options that I ran through my head thinking that it could be this or that. Was even wondering if maybe it was a slightly reformulated root beer float from last year, which in most people's opinions, at least in mine, root beer float it did smell like root beer, but it leaned very heavy towards the wintergreen and not a whole lot of there wasn't a ton of effervescence to it, and there also really wasn't much in the way of a vanilla ice cream to make it a float. Some people really loved that candle. I was okay with it. I wasn't love it, didn't hate it. I purchased it, so at the end of the day, I guess that's what counts. But so I was thinking, could it be like that? And it's not. I'm happy to say, taking a sniff, it is a brand new scent, which at this point that gives them, a check marks in if we're talking about a pro and con list for this candle of purchase or not purchase, that's a big check mark in the pro list, because so often now we're getting candles that are reformulations or just straight up repackaging, scents and reworking the notes on the bottom of the candle to match a certain format of marking that they're looking for. But this is not. So now when I smell it, it's strange. If we want to take a look for folks who are interested in the wicks, they're kind of not super thin. They're not flat. They're round. They're a round coated wick. Not the super thick ones that are sturdy, but not the flat braided ones either. So these are kind of your average wicks. And it's just simple white wax, if you can't tell based on the shadowing of the video. Now I'm smelling the lid, which generally you can get a decent sense of the candle, of the notes when you sniff the lid. Sometimes I find that certain notes, whether it's oils they use or what, will stand out a little stronger in sort of the rim of the rubbery lid, almost too strong to not show you exactly what the candle smells like. So you get a good idea, though, smelling the lid. And this, it's weird. So I definitely get citrus. I'm assuming like a lemon lime. Not pure lemon, not pure lime like the lime ice candle from a few years ago. Although in parts it reminds me a little of that, which was a test scent from the Boardwalk Collection 2011, which was lemon gelato, cotton candy, salty caramel, and lime ice. And so the thing that's strange about this, and I think a lot of people when they first smell it are going to say, oh, it's a cleaner lemon. Most of you know when people categorize lemon scents, which of course are one of the most popular scents in home fragrance, it usually either goes, natural lemon, probably the most rare, natural lemon, cleaner lemon, like a kitchen or bathroom cleaning product, bakery lemon, so something really sort of sweet and creamy, or candy lemon. Which is more of the sugared, bright, sweet, sometimes artificial, sometimes in a bad way, sometimes artificial in a good way, if it's a sugared candy or, a lemon peel kind of thing. So when people smell this, I think that some people will instantly just lean on sort of the first sniff of this to say cleaner lemon. Because it is a very intense lemon. Based on the fact, though, I don't think it's the lemon itself. I think it's whatever sort of mystery note they use to give it the, as they say, right here on the bottom, crisp, bubbly fragrance. They're not lying when they say that. There really is a sort of effervescence in here. Now, other candles have the effervescence as well. I've got here actually near me, which I won't necessarily show, but I've got Bellini Cafe, Cranberry Pear Bellini, Peach Bellini. Those are the other candles that they've used in the past that have somewhat, not a super strong bubble effervescence, but there's a bubbly note to it where you sort of feel, as crazy as it seems, you sort of feel that, the carbonation, fizzing off the top of the candle that you're smelling. And it's a little bit, placebo effect in your head, but it's also a little bit, there's something to it. With this one, that sort of effervescence is very intense, and it's not in the same sort of just light, bubbly way. It's almost like, almost overpowering in the way. Now, I'm not a big soda drinker. Occasionally I'll have, if I'm making a cocktail, maybe I'll throw a splash of something in, if I'm, using it as a mixer or just to top off something to make it a little less strong on the alcohol side. But other than that, I don't generally buy, a bottle of soda just to drink around the house. But yet, so anyway, I'm getting off track here. There are certain sodas, and when you smell them, there's a sort of intense, I think what's in, now this has nothing to do with the bubbles, but stick with me for a minute. Obviously, the carbon dioxide, the CO2, is what, gives the fizz. It's what makes seltzer, it's the bubbles in the soda. But many sodas too, like most of your, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, any of the, maybe all sodas, I'm not sure, but at least the brown sodas have, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's phosphoric acid in them. Basically, it's something that rots your teeth and that would clean your toilet bowl out. If you throw a 2 liter of flat Pepsi in your toilet, it would literally eat away any sort of buildup in your toilet bowl. But I feel like that, do you know if you've ever drank? The only time I've really experienced it is if I've ever had warm soda, if you have a warm Pepsi, which is disgusting, but if you have that and then it makes your teeth feel kind of like, it's as if it's eaten off the top layer of the enamel in your teeth, the very, very outside, and it kind of makes your mouth feel squeaky, but not squeaky clean, but kind of I don't know, just weird. Maybe it's me, I overthink things, but and I think that's because of the phosphoric acid in the soda, because it's somewhat caustic, I suppose. Long journey we're taking here to get to my point, but thank you for sticking with me. I feel like it's almost that sort of acidity mixed with the carbonation effervescence that I'm getting here. So it's when you smell the soda, it's not just in that carbonation, you're not just getting carbonation, because you could smell, unflavored seltzer that's literally just CO2 and water, and you don't have the same sort of scent to it, to your nose. It's more other sort of background ingredients in the soda that you're getting on that sniff that give you that intense, bubbly fizz kind of thing. They make that fizz in some candies. I know there's a lot of Mexican candies that is either lemon or mango hard candy, and the center of it has a little bit of, I think, perhaps a baking soda mixed with something else, that when it hits your mouth it fizzes a little bit. So the fizz scent and bubbly effervescence that I get in this, to me, leans more towards that sort of weird intensity of artificiality, which isn't necessarily bad or good, but it's not just a bubbly drink. It's almost like a intensely bubbly drink, or leaning in the way of cleaner. That's why I think most people, the short version of my point is, I think a lot of people will lean towards that because there is almost an intensity that I think it makes you think cleaner lemon, but it's not because it's lemon. I think it's because the other note in there almost leans towards you're smelling a cleaning product because of its harsh chemical intensity. But that said, I don't hate the candle. That's not the overwhelming note. There definitely is some vanilla in there, not a ton, and there may be some cherry, but it's not a true cherry. It's not a juicy cherry or even a candy cherry. If anything, it's like a soda cherry. You know, when you smell, cherry Coke, you're not really smelling a strong cherry, you're smelling like a soda cherry. But I do also think that sometimes when you smell this, it does sort of smell like you've opened, a full sugar, Sprite or Sierra Mist or something like that. What's weird and why I struggled with this candle in figuring out really what it smells like is, if I would smell it 3 times, first I would open up and say, I'd smell the effervescence, but then a second later I'd smell it, and that same note hit me more as, wow, that's just a cheap, cleaner lemon. And then the third time it would just be like an odd sort of sweetness, or almost like a lemon candy, not a sugared lemon, but more like a kind of tart lemony candy, like maybe a lemon starburst, that sort of lemon feeling. Which is, like maybe a little bit of a lemon lime mix in there. So, yeah, I'm kind of struggling to really put my finger on it exactly what this is and if I really like it. When it was burning the first time, I burned it earlier today, which we'll move back to this view a bit. I did it in a separate room so I could sort of get a true sense of the scent, and I let it go, and I would leave the room and come back. And at first, it was really giving me an overbearing, overwhelming, strong. Tina Divalicious mentioned this about a bunch of their candles in maybe the past year or so, that they got sort of a kerosene or lighter fluid, gasoline kind of smell from their candles, and I feel like I've smelled that once or twice before, but it wasn't overwhelming. But with this, it really smelled like somebody threw cheap lighter fluid on some charcoal briquettes at a park in the summer trying to work a grill. I don't know if that's the wicks or the oil or the wax blend they're using or what, but there was something to it that it was a definite note that was a burning note that I did not smell in the candle itself, which I think leans more towards something wrong with the way the candle's burning as opposed to the fragrance of the candle. But just a quick comparison so I don't make this video too super long. Trying to compare it to Bellini Cafe, I'm just going to do a quick, if we move back here, a quick comparison here. Bellini Cafe has, to me, like a true sort of like malt beverage alcohol scent to it, whereas Summertime Soda does not have that. So it's not a Bellini Cafe, closeness. Certainly not the other, everyone's favorite Cranberry Pear Bellini. It doesn't have the bubbliness or any sweetness similar to that, which I wouldn't have minded actually. Another one, good old fresh lemon. I think everyone sort of loves this. It's got hints similar to fresh lemon, which of course makes sense because fresh lemon is a very pure lemon scent. But actually, surprisingly enough, Summertime Soda is stronger. I don't know if it's because this candle is a year or two old, but Summertime Soda is much more intense than fresh lemon. And finally, the one that's actually probably closest is Limoncello. This obviously is much creamier. Most people have smelled this. It's a super popular candle now in the Italian collection. I like this a lot. Not my favorite lemon ever, but I like it. And it's very similar. I think it's the closest style of lemon to Summertime Soda. But again, the Summertime Soda, it really does have a very strong effervescence to it that I think reads or sniffs, comes off as the cleaner. So I'm not sure on this. I feel like for me, the jury is still out. I'm super interested to hear what other folks have to say. Again, right now it's just in test stores. If you live near one or if you want to order from them, I would be very interested to hear what folks think about this. It could go wide because I think it could be popular based on the marketing. It's fun to think of Summertime Soda. But really it's a lemon lime soda, so think of a Sprite or something like that. But I do think that the strong effervescence that makes it kind of a cleaner lemon might turn people off. There's no real cherry to it. I don't know that they could have done much better with this because how do you really capture just straight up soda? The Bellinis, they can throw in so much fruit and candied fruit and with a little bit of like a champagne fizz that makes it work. But if this one, the big selling point, the big note on this is that it's going to be effervescent. And if that doesn't translate well, then is the candle a flop or not? I think probably. So again, a weird one, hard to describe, certainly not a must-have. I'm glad I have the one. I don't know that I necessarily should have gotten the both of them, but I was thinking I might love it once I burned it. You know, sometimes these candles surprise you and they're amazing. And since it was a test scent, I figured I would grab them both since they were on sale. But certainly not a candle that I would say is a must-have. There are very few of those these days, and this isn't one that, you know, even if it went on sale, that I would say, oh my gosh, I've got to stock up on grabbing these, you know, in case they don't come back next year. So, interesting. Verdict, I would say final, rambling through 20-minute video, is basically a lemon lime, really effervescent candle that is not a must-have. If you're going to go lemon lime, go more for the limoncello, the fresh lemon. I wish they would have brought out something more similar to lime ice from a few years ago, which had a frozen, almost not really bubbly to it, but had a unique citrus lime edge to it. Whereas this is unique, but not really in a great way. So that's that. If you have any questions, please hit me up below. I'd be happy to answer those. Maybe I'll do an update on this once I burn through more of the candle to see if my opinion changes. It's quite possible. Stay tuned. My next couple of videos, I've got a couple lined up here. I'm going to do an in-depth sort of comparison review of Summer Boardwalk. The new 2013 limited edition is out. And similar to my Paris Daydream Sparkling Icicles Oceanside video, and as well as my Mahogany Teakwood video, I'm going to do a comparison of the salted caramel, and the Summer Boardwalk from last year and this year. Those four candles are all quite similar, and I'm going to do an in-depth sort of review comparing all of those. And then I think I may have another one coming up doing an in-depth review and sort of history of series that I kind of like to do, of White Sand, which is now, as everyone knows, the Meet Me in Tahiti candle, which is a mix of white sand and another candle, and I plan to talk about those as well as a test scent from a few years back that was the original white sand, as well as beachside. So just since there aren't a ton of new candles coming out, I figured it'd be interesting to do sort of dive into the vaults to bring out some old candles and compare them to new ones, and talk about some of the, you know, the histories of the test scents, since I find that interesting. So if you like that kind of stuff, stay tuned. Otherwise, folks who don't like that kind of thing, I will probably see you in the fall when new candles come out then, which will be sometime mid-July, of course, for the test scents. Again, as always, questions, let me know, and until next time, take care.